We are getting ready to kick off our school year, so I'm going to share with you the subjects that I plan to do all together as a family this year. I'm Jamie, and this is Simply Learning Together. Today, I'm going to share with you about our family subjects. So these are the subjects that we are going to do all together, all of my kids. My oldest is going into the 3rd grade, and then I have a daughter. She'll be in the 1st grade this year, and then I have a 3-year-old and a 21-month-old. So big variety of ages, but this is my favorite kind of learning, the kind where we can all sit together and learn together and do it simply. So let's dive into what we're going to be doing. This stuff is things that I really take a lot of time to research the different variety of curricula that is out there, but I want to make sure that it's going to be a right fit for our family. And this is our 4th year homeschooling, and I kind of know what our style is and what we enjoy together. The last 2 years we've been in classical conversations, which was absolutely wonderful. This year we will not be continuing, so it will be kind of the first time in a while that we have to add on a social studies or a history subject and a science subject. So I am looking forward to diving into that with the kids. So a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing during our morning time, and there's going to be other things that we do, but we'll all just sit together and listen. And the way to do that is reading together. And I've learned that that's something that we really love to do. Let me start with sharing one of the things I'm looking forward to starting with my kids. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ginger Hubbard, but I listen to her podcast on a regular basis, and it is so encouraging. I look forward to listening to it every single week, but it talks about biblical parenting. And she has, for a while, had this chart called Wise Words for Moms. And I so badly have wanted to use it, but I felt overwhelmed by trying to learn it and implement it. And then I thought to myself, why don't we do it together? So I'm going to be using her chart, her Wise Words for Moms chart. You can order this on her website, and it's actually sent to you. It is not a download. And it goes through different behaviors that your children have. And it talks about questions that you can ask, how you can put that negative action off and put the encourage putting something positive on, and it's all using scripture. And so every week I want to focus on one of the behaviors, kind of talk about it, talk about the questions, and I want to pick one of the verses that she gives us, and we are going to memorize that together as our Bible verse. So that's kind of where one of the things that we're doing in our Bible study. It's going to help me memorize it so that I can implement that scripture better as I'm disciplining my children, but it's also going to be good teaching moments that we can recall as incidents come up. So I think it's kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only are we learning it, but we can be implementing it throughout our day as well. So I think that's kind of a win there. The next thing I'm going to share is kind of a combo for science and Bible. We are going to use this, How Great is Our God. It is a devotional. We have the indescribable copy, and we loved it so much. If you've never read any of these, this is by Louis Giglio, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, so I apologize if I'm not. So what he does is he takes a devotion. It has cute little pictures, and then he gives you a science fact that's related to that devotional. There's a scripture verse that goes with it, and it's just really so relatable. My kids love it. I love it. The reason I wanted to add this into our day is because I had planned to keep our science really low-key this year, and so I felt like this was a great way to have science every day in a simple way, and if we enjoyed what we read about, we could look into it further. Now, when I received this book, there is a section here that categorizes his different devotionals. So we are actually going to use that, and we're going to start with his first category, which is space. So we will be jumping into the space theme to start off our year, and the way I plan to do that is just to go to my library. I don't have any big plans. It will kind of just go as how we feel, but I will go to my library. I'll go to that nonfiction section, go to the space section, and I will literally just grab the books and take them home, and we will have them displayed in our schoolroom, and we will read them throughout our school days. So it's just kind of a low-key way to, talk about different themes in science, and I'm super excited that we can do that. So we will be skipping around in the book so that we can follow the categories that he has set out. So the categories in here are space, earth, animals, and people. And I have some fun field trips in mind too. So I think this is going to be a really fun way for us to incorporate some science. On top of that, I ordered this experiment book. This is called 101 Coolest Simple Science Experiments. This book is fantastic. It has great pictures, great explanations, and I hope to try to do one a week. And I'll kind of just go with the flow on how we do it. If we want to maybe make a science notebook, possibly, I'm not sure. I don't want to commit to anything that's going to cause me stress. So my goal is to start with once a week, and then I will reevaluate after that. The categories in this book include kitchen chemistry, physics and making things move, exploring the world, and the human body. And the pictures that come with it just make it so exciting. So I'm looking forward to doing some of these with the kids. The other book I'm going to add in is a poetry book. When I first started homeschooling, I thought poetry was silly, mostly because I never really understood poetry. I was never good at it, and I just didn't understand what the point was. Well, when I started reading it to my children, it's funny because they almost start speaking poetically when they hear it. So we'd be in the car, and they would describe something, and I could hear the poetic voice in their description. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, that is the coolest thing, that they are really trying to create poems in their own day-to-day conversations. I also just love talking about the different imagery and the descriptions that are in these poems. We used a nature poem, and I'll link it here, Sing a Song of Seasons, I believe it was. We used that last year. It is so fantastic. And so I definitely wanted to do poetry again this year. We are going to use this Poems to Learn by Heart. I do not have plans to memorize these, but I do want to read them together. So I think that they've probably been very specifically chosen by Caroline Kennedy, that's the author. And so I'm excited to see what's in here, and if they want to memorize them, they can, but honestly, it's just kind of for us to read together. So that's kind of another thing that we'll be doing together as a family, is reading poetry. The last thing I want to share with you is our history. Now, this one was a doozy for me. I kind of stressed about it for quite some time, a couple months probably, researching what I wanted to do for our history. One of the things that I had in mind was the fact that we were in classical conversations, and if you're not familiar with the way that's set up, they set it up in cycles. So we completed cycle 3 and then cycle 1. So we got U.S. history, and then we got ancient world history. And so I wanted to basically fill in the gap of the one that we wouldn't be doing. So I was trying to figure out how to do it. I looked at so much different curriculum trying to see what would be best. And I'm not going to lie, everything just felt like too much. I want to be able to sit down and do all these things with my family, because the time that I have to do activities one-on-one or maybe with just my oldest is very short, and I want to save that for my core subjects. So I wanted something that we could do all together. And a lot of times when you buy those workbooks, there's just so many things in it, and I didn't want that. I just wanted to read something. I decided that I was going to use these Who Was books. Now, how did I pick them? There is a person who is in classical conversations that has lined up the Who Was books with the different cycles that Classical Conversations goes through. So I went to the one cycle that we haven't done, which was cycle 2, and I ordered the first 6 books on the list. Okay, now why 6? This is something really important that I want to share with you. Whenever I plan things for my school year, I focus on the first 6 weeks. That's it. On these new things that I want to try, I kind of just want to jump in and get a taste. It's kind of like what I said with the science. I'm just going to try for one experiment for a week until I can reevaluate. After about 6 weeks, I have a good feel of what's working and what's not. So my goal is to try and get through 4, 5, maybe 6 of these books to see, is this a good fit for our family? Is this a good way for us to incorporate history together? And so that is my commitment. Now, all I plan to do is read these chapters with the kids during our morning time while they kind of keep their hands busy. And then I hoped, and this is another one of those, we'll see how it goes, I hoped to maybe keep a history notebook where the girls can, I have a son, but he's my baby, but the girls can maybe draw something or write something once a week or maybe just per book. So I am still going to figure that out as we go. I don't want to commit to anything big. I've learned that over the years. It kind of feels like a big fail when it doesn't work out how you want it. So I'm trying to keep an open mind about it. But I am looking forward to the simplicity of using these books. And the goal is to read them. Anything else is just a bonus. So we will see how that works out for us. But these are great. They are actually great for young readers as well. So I think my daughter can also read them with us. Looking forward to incorporating that history into our days. So that's it for our family subjects. Almost all of these we'll be doing in the morning together, except the science experiments. That will be kind of on a different time, but this is something that we're just all going to be able to sit together and do. I do think it's going to be a challenge to kind of get my little ones to stay seated, so that will be something that we will have to figure out together. But my favorite part of homeschooling is when my entire family can sit down together and learn together. I'll be learning right alongside them in all of these subjects, in the science that we're learning, the history books that we're reading together. I'm going to be growing in my knowledge as well. And even though my little ones are 3 and 21 months, they're not going to be doing any activities or anything, but they're going to be listening right there with us. And I promise you, they are learning just as much at their own pace with us. And so just really excited to jump into this together with them.